And let's talk about Labour's plan to, well, as many people are saying, to basically bring back in gender self-ID by any other name. Basically what they were supporting in Scotland with the SNP. That government, of course, descended into chaos over that issue. But Labour is basically wanting to bring in self-ID by any other name after they looked at plans to what they call simplify the process, in which someone can say that they believe that they are born into the wrong body and born a different gender, and that a lone single GP could sign off on gender change. Well, let's talk to Helen Joyce about this. She's author of the book Trans, Gender Identity and the New Battle for Women's Rights. She's also Director of Advocacy at the campaign group Sex Matters. Good afternoon to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks for joining us once again. This is just self-ID by any other name, isn't it? What are the current rules that are required for someone to change their gender in England, if not in Scotland?
Well, currently it's the same all over the UK. You have to have a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, which is a specialist diagnosis, and from 2 doctors. You have to have evidence that you have changed your name and paperwork for at least 2 years, and then a panel signs it off. Now, honestly, it costs £5. You don't have to pay it if you're not well off. You don't have to turn up at the panel in person. They're not asking you intrusive questions. They're asking you for paperwork. The only real barrier is the diagnosis of gender dysphoria. That's just gender distress. So what they're talking about is just moving to you going in to talk to your GP, which is what you can already do if you want to change the M or F on your passport or driving licence. You can go to your GP and ask for a letter. So they're thinking of making your actual legal status that easy to change. Short doctor's appointment, ask for a letter, off you go.
Yeah, I've got such issues. I was certainly someone, again, I'm sure like you, really, happy for people who were trans to, be recognised as they wanted to be recognised, and again, to be welcomed and respected through their daily lives. And I have to say, I didn't really have such an issue with people being able to change their gender. But again, it's when it became like, well, you've changed your gender, and now apparently you think you've changed your sex, and you're requiring me. And again, these are activists asking this, not necessarily often the trans people going through this process themselves, to believe that you are somehow a woman and entitled to the same sex-based rights that you and I are entitled to as women, which are there to largely protect us from men. I mean, that's what they're mostly there for, are they not? And because of a particular fact that we're only able to, carry babies and give birth, etc. It is extraordinary, though, how this has expanded. The risks of this are huge, are they not? I mean, if someone says, well, I've got a certificate, I've got a passport, it says I'm a woman, it says F under male or female, you can wear what you want and change your name and do whatever you want. If you're a man, you're never going to be female. That word has a meaning, does it not? Woman used to have a meaning, but my God, we're trying to fight for that one back. Let's at least not give up female as well.
Yeah, I mean, this area of law is a complete mess. It's not clear, and it's not made clear to the people who get them what a gender recognition certificate gives you. The word gender is there, but the law says your required gender changes your sex for legal purposes.
Which it doesn't.
So they already muddled the two up. Well, it does, unfortunately, since the Gender Recognition Act 20 years ago, for some purposes and not for others. But what happens is there's this huge chilling effect. People know they do not follow the ins and outs of the law. How could they? Even lawyers argue about those. But they know that there's some law that has some consequences, that there is something called a sex change. And what Labour is making is suggesting that it will do is it will make it easier to get this piece of paper that can then be used to bully people. Like, it's not clear what rights the piece of paper actually gives you beyond what it says on your marriage certificate or your birth certificate. But you can use it to present yourself as somebody who's entitled to be treated as a woman for workplace toilets, for jobs that are only for women, that sort of thing. So they should not be doing this. They should be moving the opposite direction. And to say that this isn't gender self-ID is just disingenuous. One short doctor's appointment. The Royal College of GPs has said it doesn't want this responsibility. The GPs are not specialists in this.
But no one's a specialist in someone becoming a female if they're born male. They just aren't.
I agree. It's all nonsense. I know it's all nonsense. But I mean, like, think what a GP will do if somebody comes in and says, I feel like a woman, I've always felt like a woman, and they say, well, I think this is nonsense, I'm not giving you the letter. They'll get sued.
Yeah, exactly. Helen, this is the can of worms that has been opened. You've been fantastic on this, Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters. Thank you very much indeed, Helen.